So yesterday, New World dropped a new Balance of Power video, which was covering specifically how we are going to be able to get to 700 gear score as different styles of players once the brand new update Rise of the Angry Earth drops. So first thing that they covered here was gear progression as a PvE player. Now they've broken down what you can do in each category for PvP, PvE, crafters, and then also some other really useful information at the end here. So firstly, what can PvE players do to progress in gear score and ultimately get to that 700 gear score? Well, firstly, they said it would be, of course, a good idea to do the Elysian Wilds main story questline. And depending on what side quests you do and exploring you do whilst you go along with this questline, you will end up somewhere between 640 and 650 gear score, maybe even more, depending on how many extra side quests and exploration things you do, once you have finished the brand new main story quest in Elysian Wilds. That will open up the end game content to you, like base mode expeditions. Now they will drop gear that will be up to 685. Now remember that expeditions have now been changed, so you've got the base mode and then you've got mutation level 1, 2 and 3, with 1 being the easiest and 3 being the hardest, and there's just those 3 levels now. They then said that open world content would be the next best thing to do after you've done the base level expeditions. Open world drops will depend on the difficulty of the enemies, and that the highest level content will allow for drops from normal enemies up to 690 gear score, and named enemies and chests in open world up to 700 gear score at the highest level there, which of course is going to be in the brand new Elysian Wilds zone. They then said somewhere around there you want to filter in some mutations, so any mutation level can drop up to 700 gear score. Like I said, they're the brand new levels 1, 2 and 3, but the difference is as you increase the mutation level, so if you go to level 2 as opposed to 1 or 3, the minimum level of the gear that drops gets higher as the level of the expedition you do gets higher, so essentially there is more chance to get a 700 gear score. And M3s, which is now the highest new level, will drop from 695 to 700 gear score, so you're going to be getting really good gear score drops from those, but it is recommended that you're up there pretty much at that gear score in order to be able to complete that smoothly. So it's kind of a trade-off, but you are then going to be able to fine-tune your gear from that point. They also said that corrupted portal caches can drop up to 700 gear score, and later they do go on to mention that they can drop artifacts as well, which I will cover in a little bit more depth. But corrupted portals are also going to be a really good way to get some potentially high level 690 plus 700 style gear score drops. Now for PvP players then, continue with arenas and OPR. Those caches can drop up to 700 gear score. However, there is a bigger range of dropped gear levels, so you might not get a 700 gear score item every time, but you will eventually get there, gradually ranking up your gear, and if you prefer that content, then that's probably the best method for you. But also don't sleep on the brand new influence races that they've incorporated with this expansion, as they do give you a cash when you compete in them, and also a ton of salt and PvP XP, so they are very rewarding for the PvP players, and the caches that drop from these can drop up to 700 gear score items, so this is another great way for PvP players to level up specifically off PvP content. Now they also said that the PvP reward track has named gear on it, which of course will be dropping at a higher level, and every 10 levels is guaranteed to be a 690 gear score item, so you are going to be able to get some from that. And they also said the named items from this track, like all other named items in the game, whether it's from PvE or whatever other mode you get it from, can obviously be upgraded to 700 gear score with the appropriate matrix upgrading. Now for those of you that don't know, the matrices are for armoring, are for weapons and for jewelry, and it allows you to change the third perk and upgrade items. I'm not entirely sure how this is going to work yet, but essentially what I'm assuming from this comment is that you can put those matrices on and it's going to increase the gear score and give you access to change those perks, but I'll bring you guys a video on that once I can get hands on and see exactly how it is working. Now crafters also have a few ways of getting up to 700 gear score. Prismatic Scarab crafting is obviously the first one, but this is expensive and is on a weekly cooldown. However, it does guarantee a 700 gear score item with the exact perks that you want, so this is going to be very, very valuable at least once a week, and I would imagine every player should be doing this, not just crafters, but crafters are going to get there a lot quicker than regular players who are doing other modes of gameplay, and so therefore this is going to be a great one for them. We also have chromatic seal crafting, which is cheaper than the prismatic scarabs, and it's also only on a daily cooldown, but it does only guarantee you 2 of the perks and not all 3, so it's a little bit of a gamble there. However, this is still going to be a very good way to make some money and to get some very good gear at a 700 or very high gear score, depending what materials you use. Now also there is lots of new options to re-roll the third perk on named items and artifacts using the matrices that we mentioned before there, which are going to be assumably used there to upgrade the named items as well. So this is going to be another really good thing. And if we just jump into New World Database here, you can see, for example, the weapon matrix here can be crafted through both weapon smithing and engineering. And if we go on to these, you can see that you're going to need Azoth, you're going to need an enchanted handle and a tempered cast. And these are going to be quite expensive. So you can see here that to craft one of those components, which was the enchanted handle, you will need 2 prismatic ingots, which are the brand new ingots, 2 prismatic planks, the brand new planks, and 2 prismatic leather, obviously the brand new leather, along with 5 gypsum orbs and 250 Azoth in order to create one of the components there. And the requirements for the other component are similar. So while these matrices do sound quite powerful, they are also going to be fairly expensive to get hands on with. And just as a little bit of information here for those of you that haven't looked into this too much, or even if you have, this is a good refresher. Prismatic ingots, and this is going to be the same for all of the brand new materials. You can only craft 10 every 24 hours, so it's similar to your Asmodeum cooldowns. This is affected by the First Light Fort buff, which of course now is Weaver's Fen. It's getting 10% extra yield from refining. And what you will need to craft these is a 1-for-1 on the Asmodeum, but you will also need 10 Mithril ingots, which are the brand new materials that we can find across the Elysian Wilds. You will also need 4 charcoal and 4 obsidian flux, which isn't too much, but you will of course need to be level 250 in the smelting skill as well in order to be able to do this. So it's worth saving up some of your daily craft materials now in order to be able to craft these if you are a crafting player, because you're going to need quite a lot of them in terms of making those matrices and also other weapons and gear. Now, of course, if you do want to check this out fully for yourself, I will leave a link to New World Database in the description down below. Feel free to head over there and have a look through some of these recipes if you do want to start planning that out as well. Now, they also mentioned that craft mods for perks which are being removed will be able to be converted into attribute mods. You will not have craft mods that are basically unusable. You'll be able to convert them into attribute mods, which is nice. Artifacts can be found all over Eternum, such as in expeditions, the main story quest for the new zone. Named enemies, especially in Brimstone Sands and the Elysian Wilds, will drop them, and again there is specific drops listed on New World Database for each of the artifacts if you do want to go and have a look exactly where to get them from. Reward tracks have 2 in the free track in terms of artifacts there. Those will also be in the general pools for Season 4, so if you don't get to the required level in Season 3 reward track, you will be able to get them from the general pools in Season 4 when that does drop, but obviously slightly behind some other people, and if it is something that you want to get, it might be worth grinding that one out. And also corrupted portals will have 1 or 2 artifacts in the caches as a potential drop, and along with the PvP reward track, having some artifacts being able to drop from that one as well. Now, a lot of you will probably know this already, but they did mention the fact that resilience has gone from the game, which was essentially a mandatory perk, and the reason they're doing that is because they don't want to have perks that have to be on every set, but it also means that the same gear will be more useful for both PvP and PvE more often, so there's less chance to have to do separate sets for both. Obviously with the removal of Ward and Bane as well, this is even more so the case, so you'll probably be able to get a very good set that will work effectively in both PvP and PvE, especially when you're just getting up to your first 700 gear score set, which is really, really nice. Now, they also said that 590 items now, so named items, can be upgraded to 625 gear score before the expansion, but post-expansion, umbral shards are gone completely, and they will be converted into gold, and that means that named items will now drop at 625 after the update as well, and then they can, of course, be upgraded to 700 gear score. So lots of really interesting stuff being told to us there. Some of it we already knew, but great to get some clarification on how the progression is going to work for each different style of players, and this was a really useful video that they made, so hopefully this update does help you guys to understand how you're going to be able to smoothly and effectively progress with your gear score up to 700 once this expansion drops. If you did enjoy the video, make sure to drop me a like down below, as it does really help me out. Let me know in the comments which pathway you're going to be going through for progression, whether it's going to be PvE, PvP or crafting. And of course, do drop me a subscribe down below to the channel, as we are going to be covering tons more New World content here, so it would be great to have you on board. Other than that, I'll catch you guys again very, very shortly in a brand new upload, so take care and peace.